Oh, hey, Mandy.
Well, hello there.
Are you registered to vote?
I sure am.
Oh, that's good. Me too.
I'm very excited about it. If I wasn't, though, you know where I'd go?
Where?
Headcount.org.
Oh, good.
They're a
good.
nonpartisan organization that works with the music and entertainment industry to get fans to vote.
You know what I miss? Going
What?
to live concerts.
Wasn't that fun?
It was nice. Maybe, if we had a competent government, we could go to concerts again.
That's a great idea. And how could we get there? We could
vote! Just vote!
get out
That's
there
so
and
great.
fucking vote, people. I know you don't think your vote counts. You're like all, electoral college, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit.
Well, you need to start giving a shit, motherfucker, I swear to God. And vote for your senators and congressmen, because that filibustering shit that they've been doing is bullshit, and that needs to come to an end, too.
Listen, if you're not sure if you're registered to vote, go to headcount.org, where you'll find all the information you need to be ready for Election Day.
So, register to vote at headcount.org.
And maybe we can go to a concert again someday and rock the fuck back out.
Ah, that would be awesome.
Vote, bitches! Hey, you made it to the first episode of our podcast ever.
Hey, welcome. Well done.
We are sitting in the dark.
Our power went out. Not that we didn't pay our bill. The whole block is out.
Luckily, we have got about, 3 Costco's worth of flameless candles in our house.
Hell yes.
So, yeah, welcome. You're here to listen to us tell you stories about stupid shit we've done and crazy Mormon stories.
Yeah, sounds about right. I am drinking the finest black box wine on the market.
What year is that?
I'd say it's like a 2019, maybe?
Nice. Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
What are you drinking?
I am having a Mai Tai. The On the Rocks Mai Tai.
Nice.
From our local organic and natural food grocer that I will not name.
So, yeah, how does this start? How do we do this?
We decided to make a podcast, well, pretty much because we're lazy.
Right. So, we tell our stories to our friends and acquaintances often, and we all at one point or another have had people tell us that we should write a book of our shenanigans and upbringing.
Which sounds like a great idea, but we're not. We're lazy. Let's just
it
like
takes
it
so
is.
much work to do outlines and stuff. And I don't know
type words.
the first thing about. I could pay a ghostwriter, but even that just sounds like work.
You'd still have to tell them, so why not just tell the podcast?
Right.
I imagine there's probably my mom and 2 of my friends listening right now, so that's all that's really important to me.
Right.
Although I think it's important that we should say you might be disappointed if you're here thinking that this is in any way related to the website badmormon.com.
Which we got to stumble across while we were coming up with a new name for our podcast.
Yes, we are not into homosexual, gay, master-slave kink.
I don't have a problem if you are into that, just not personally my jam.
And you're going to be disappointed if that's why you're here, because we're not going to talk about that.
We apologize.
Well, we might talk about it a little bit.
Well, because it was really funny.
And I lived in San Francisco for a while, so.
Game on. So, yeah, a little background with us. Mandi is the oldest.
Mm-hmm. Oldest of 9 altogether.
When is this?
Yeah.
Okay, and I am the youngest of 6, if that makes sense. It is. Sorry, this is all new to me. I'm still figuring it out. We can edit later, right?
Sure.
But no, so our mom and dad had 6 children together. Mandi is the oldest, and I am the youngest. And then my mom went on to have 1 more child, and my dad had 2 more. So there are 9 of us all together.
And we're all varying degrees of good and bad Mormons.
Right. Some of us are much better than others. I don't want to say I'm the worst, but I'm really up there.
I am too. I think we could probably tie for worst.
I'm okay with that. So, Mandi grew up with my dad. I grew up with our mother. And so we had different variations of Mormonism. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. So I only went to church when I visit my dad because first thing I can remember was my mom being into Wiccan and having like crystals and daggers and like
altars. I had an altar too. I wanted to be like Mom. I had one.
I remember thinking it was really cool, and I wanted there to be potions, but that wasn't a thing that they did, and I was really disappointed. And then about the time I was 12, she got back into the religion pretty strongly, and by that point, it was too late for me. I wanted nothing to do with it, and yeah, and then even when I go visit Dad, he was just like, Charlotte, it's time for church. I'm like, Dad, seriously, I'm not going to your church anymore. Oh, come on, it's time to wake up. It's time for church. I'm like, I'm 12-year-old. I want to sleep. Like, anyways. So, I barely went to church. Mandi, on the other hand.
Well, I went to church until I was about 13. And, like, whatever. Long story short, I really didn't want this to be, like, Mormon bashing time. But just how I kind of got out of the church was basically... You know, I remember doing some baptisms for the dead, which is another story I'll tell you at another time. And I was talking to the bishop afterward, and, you know, and I just had all these questions, and somebody had just showed me that Joseph Smith text where he was talking about, you know, black people, and it was basically, I'm not going to say this verbatim because I can't remember it, but it was basically like black people were beasts of the field, and they were the smartest of animals because they could walk and speak. And I just thought that was so fucked up.
So fucked up.
And, you know, I was 13, so whatever year that was. But it had been, you know, 10, 15 years or so since, like, this revelation had happened where now, you know, black people could be
hold
in the church and, hold the priesthood or whatever. So I remember that was, like, my big problem. So I remember asking the bishop that. I was like, what's up with this? Like, this is fucked up, basically. And he was just like, you know, you just have to have faith, Mandi. You just have to have faith. And I was like, faith
that you guys aren't assholes.
I don't know about that. And I remember asking too, like, because I loved coffee. Any of my friends in high school can attest. We spent more time at JB's drinking coffee and Angie's drinking coffee than we did going to class. But I remember asking that question too, like, why can't Mormons drink coffee? You know, and tells me whatever scripture it was, strong drinks or whatever. And I was like, so, you know, but we can drink Coke. Like, that's caffeine too. Mandi, you just have to have faith. And I got that answer so many times from them that I was like, you know, I don't have any faith and I don't buy your bullshit. So I'm not going to go to your church anymore.
I think that's fair.
But yeah, that was just my experience. Obviously, like, a lot of our family members are Mormon. We love them dearly. You know, my dad's a Mormon, and I would never, like, want to, you know, talk shit about what he believes in. But just for me, not my jam.
Wasn't your cup of tea if you could have tea. Which you can't.
You can't, yeah.
You can't even have non-caffeinated tea. It's beyond me. Yeah, so...
So stories.
Which stories
What should we start with?
I could talk about the time I came up to visit you in Washington when I was like 13, maybe 14. And all I really remember was that I didn't bring any money for food, but I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day and I did acid and mushrooms.
Wait, how old were you?
I was like 14. Maybe I was 13. I don't really remember.
Shit.
All the drugs have fried my brain cells.
I didn't give you those drugs.
No, sure. No, I don't think you did, actually. I bought them off of people. It's like, oh my god, acid is only like $10. Game on.
I don't have any money for ramen, but...
Right. I was a child.
A cigarette-smoking, acid-dropping, hungry child.
Well, when you've never been forced to buy your own groceries before, and they've just been provided for you, then it wasn't something that crossed my mind.
Fair
Again,
enough.
but somehow I had cigarettes.
So was that was in Bellingham, was that where we had the basement that was painted all black?
Yes, and there was a lot of blacklight stuff.
Glow in the dark.
And if you went to the very back part of the room, then there was like rocks that went up like a slant.
Oh, yeah. It was like an unfinished basement.
Yeah.
That basement was actually super cool. There were some really good artists. Like, some of my friends did really good art.
I had a good time down there.
Yeah.
I remember I came up a couple times to get some water because I think I spent. That's right. I didn't do drugs with anybody. I did them by myself while I was down there because nobody wanted to get high with me, and I was like, "Listen, I want to do this," and I had done it before. Like it wasn't my first time doing it, but I was like, "I want to do drugs," and nobody wanted to do drugs with me. So I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll do it by myself." But I came up, and you were getting a tattattoo.
Oh,
like
sweet
it was
Jesus.
it was your big turtle tattoo that took like days.
No, that was a different house.
Are
you sure?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I remember.
Right. It's that one that's on the corner that's now like the birthing center.
Yes.
Cornwall and Alabama?
Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, no, it was a good trip. I mean, like, I had a good time. I found out a lot of things about myself then.
I'm trying to remember. There was something about that house because, like, I know, like, I didn't really know the people that lived upstairs. I think maybe Tammy had lived there, and my friend Gabe had lived there. But there was so basically that unfinished basement, we painted floor to ceiling one of the back rooms, which was a huge portion of the house, just all black paint. And then we covered it with glow in the dark, artwork, blacklight reactive artwork or whatever. But like, there was something about like the damage deposit to that house. I wish I could remember the story. Hopefully maybe we'll, hear about that later, but there was something that it was
Tiffany and Laurie could probably chime in on that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was super, super cool house. And I was going to say we destroyed it, but actually that one room was seriously so cool, whether you were on drugs or not.
Right.
I'm sure it wasn't like easy to rent out or turn into a fucking birthing center after that.
Yeah, just tear it down. I mean, there's so many houses I've lived at in Bellingham that have just been torn down now, so.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But yeah, no, that was a good time. My first experience up in the Pacific Northwest. I like it there.
I can't believe you were only 13.
I don't know how I was allowed to go up there at 13. I have a lot of questionable things that I was allowed to do as a child. I somehow had tickets to go to Oxford, England when I was 17. I'm like, how did I get a passport? Like, how did I do these? But I know that I wasn't 18 yet.
Yeah. Well, that was before 9/11. Maybe you...
No, 9/11
needed a passport.
I think also... No, you're right. Maybe 9/11 had just happened. Because, again, I only remember this because I had a boyfriend who was doing an overseas thing. And he was going to Oxford, and I wanted to come visit him, but I mainly just wanted to go to England. And like, it was such a bullshit trip. Like, he was so lame. He wouldn't even ditch his yoga class to hang out with me. Oh, whoops, my bad. But so I had paid for my ticket. I stayed in Airbnb, and he came home from that trip on my 18th birthday. Because I remember being pissed off. And I'm like, it's my 18th birthday, and you're stealing my glory by coming home on it. So I know I wasn't 18 when I was over there. I have no idea. And I guess Mom would have to sign off on but I remember buying the plane ticket online. Like, nobody asked me for anything, but I would have had Mom's permission to give my passport.
There's probably like a signature or something you need.
Right. Because I remember Dad saying, no, you can't go. And I was like, oh, Dad, that's cute. You can't tell me how to live my life.
The power's back on.
Oh, fantastic. So we're done here, right? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, that fan feels nice. It is hot in here. But it is loud.
It is loud. What story can I tell? I feel like, well, you mentioning that you came to Bellingham when you were 13, I started thinking maybe I should tell the stories about how Richard came to live with me when he was 14, and Laurie came to live with me when she was 15, and Tiffany came to live with me when she was 16.
Mother make us sleep with danger. Call you Mama Mandi.
Yeah. Maybe those guys should be on, though, when we talk about that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just acid, but I was like, wasn't there something about how you were over at Erica's house high on drugs and her parents came out with oranges because they were onto you? Like, that sounds like a funny story.
That is a funny story, and it's not quite like that. I will let Erica be on to help me tell that story because that was a gem. Oh, you know what I could tell you, speaking of getting tattoos in kitchens, I could tell the story of when I got my first tattoo, which was...
I know that tattoo.
Yeah. It's still buried underneath layers and layers of cover-up tattoos. But so the story goes, I was in Logan and I was 15 years old and I was getting a tattoo from this guy named Bill in a basement kind of over like down by the high school. And I paid for the tattoo. So the tattoo machine that he was using, we called it a tattoo gun back then. The tattoo machine he was using was basically just
It looks like your Wi-Fi network. Take a look at the help section.
Alexa, we're busy.
Listen, Alexa, no one asked you.
So, 15 years old, the tattoo machine was very, very homemade and not sanitary by any means or whatsoever. And I paid for the tattoo in what we called Camel dollars. So Camel dollars was a little dollar you'd get off the pack of your Camel cigarettes.
Right.
And every pack, so you'd save them up and get prizes like jackets or whatever. So I had been saving them. I had 70. And that was the payment that this man, Bill, accepted for my first tattoo as a 15-year-old in his basement.
Oh my God, that sounds so healthy.
Yeah, and let me throw another layer in there. Bill offered to tattoo me for free. He would have let me keep my 70 Camel dollars if I would have agreed to do the tattoo topless. And I was like, fuck you, creeper. No, absolutely not.
No.
And I remember him saying something about, like, I was missing out because something about the rough hands on my nipples, and I still...
Oh, my good
yes,
Lord.
I was
and you
missing out,
still got the tattoo.
and I still got the tattoo.
You didn't run.
No, I still got the tattoo. I wanted that tattoo. And the tattoo, let me just describe it to you.
Oh, please, great detail.
Picture this. So, it was on my chest, on my left side, right above my left boob, and it was supposed to look like my skin was folded back, and then you were looking down a perspective view of 4 checkered walls. I was doing a lot of acid, so I was, just tapping into that, psychedelic creativity. And I, of course, being 15 years old and not knowing shit about anything, didn't realize that as I grew, my boobs would also grow, and my tattoo would just break apart. Not that it was done well in the first place, but it just looked like a horrible jumbled mess after I got boobs.
I like to think of it as like when you go to Magic Mountain and they've got those clown, like what do they call not the mazes where they jump out at you? And
oh, yeah.
Scared. Like, if that could...
A fun house.
It was like a fun house on your boob.
But just like the worst blown out lines you could imagine. Like, and I remember too, like I had this gauze patch over it and I was sleeping on the couch for some reason. I don't know why, but when I woke up, I was on the couch and, like Dad was around in the living room or whatever. This was at the third East house.
Okay.
And I remember just thinking like, okay, you've got to keep this a secret. Like, this is, Dad's going to kill you if he finds out. And that thought lasted about like 30 seconds in my brain before I was like, pulled my shirt down. I was like, Dad, look what I did. And he just looks at me, kind of shakes his head like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, well, okay.
Nothing I can do about it now. I wonder how many times he's done that.
Looked at me like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Probably a lot. I've done a lot of really, like I said, I've made some questionable life choices.
I love you,
that
Dad.
was one of them. Thanks for not disowning me, Dad.
I don't know whether I feel bad when they, like, I just wanted to believe in my children, or if you're like, thank you. Like, no, we're good here.
Yeah.
I don't regret anything I've ever done.
Oh, me neither.
I mean, would I have been smarter if I hadn't have done it? Yeah, sure. But you know what? It's the only way to grow is to make mistakes.
Who you are today.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was that's a cautionary tale that I will now tell any young person who's thinking of getting a tattoo on any place that can bend out of shape.
Right.
Like your stomach.
Well, I always had a stupid idea, and I knew it was stupid, and of course I didn't do it, thank God, was to get Buddha on my belly. Like, just so if I ever got pregnant or fat, which I'll never get pregnant, but fat, sure, that it would just get a bigger Buddha. But you forget the stretch marks and lines don't grow well with that.
Yeah, that's a fact. And also, there's a reason, and I also tell this to people, there's a reason why you need to be 18 before you get tattooed.
Yes.
Because your tastes and your preferences, and even just the fashion and the style changes dramatically.
Absolutely.
In the 3 years between 15 and 18.
I tell everybody, because I talk to a lot of young people just as a profession that I have, and I tell every single one of them who's thinking about getting a tattoo, I'm like, listen, just know you're going to hate your first one. I'm like, what? No. Like, I've thought it through. I'm like, no. You are going to hate your first one. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to hate it, and you're going to get it covered up. But just know that. So don't go big. Don't go bold.
Get a little songbird on your ankle.
Get a butterfly.
Oh, this
little
fucking
baby butterfly.
This fucking butterfly will never go away on my ankle. I tried to get it removed.
I thought I was foolproof. I was like, okay, I'm 18 years old. I'm getting my Taurus symbol. I'll never not be a Taurus. And it will be on my back. So if I hate it, I won't even have to look at it. Great idea. Now, I paid for it in cash, not Camel Bucks, but I tipped him with Panda Express free plates because I was a manager at Panda at 17.
Just an empty plate?
No. You get the plate, but it's like you get two sides and rice or whatever.
I get it.
So if we screwed up someone's order or someone was pissed off, we could give them this coupon for a free, sorry, let's make it up to you. Panda plate. Well, because I was a manager, again, don't ever make a 17-year-old a manager of anything. I was awful at my job. I'm pretty much awful at all my jobs, except for the ones that I'm in charge of. Whatever. But anyways, I didn't have any money to tip him, so I gave him 2 of those. But anyways.
I was picturing plastic plates with the Panda Express logo on it, like a picnic.
You know what? Not much better, to be fair. I'm sure he threw them in the garbage once I left. But not only was it not the color I wanted, it said, you might as well make it so dark purple it's black. It ended up being that my blood was mixed in with it. It looked magenta, so I was cool with it. But when it healed, it was this pastel purple, and it was crooked. And I hate it. I still don't have it covered up yet because it's on my back. And it's true. I at least had that part going for me. I don't see it, so I don't think about it a lot.
That's nice.
But I definitely want to get it covered up one of these times. But this is my problem with tattoos. I'm not creative in that sense. I'm like, what do I want to get? All of my tattoos are, as Tiffany would say it, they're pop culture. I've got Star Wars. I've got Calvin and Hobbes. I've got They Might Be Giants album cover that I really liked. But I'm just like, I don't know what to get, but I want to get a tattoo, so fuck it, I'll just get this. And I'm not saying I don't like my tattoos. People all the time is like, you have a snowman warming his hands over burning money. I bet you regret that one. I'm like, no, I don't regret it.
But would you get it covered up?
No. I mean, maybe. It's just so big. What would I get it covered up with?
A giant tiger's face.
Because that would not be funny later. I'm just saying, I don't regret it. For those who want to get tattoos, and you think if there's a Los Angeles Avenue or Venice Avenue, you can put whatever image you want to on a pair of Vans.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got a really sweet pair of Point Break Vans. I have a really sweet pair of Roadhouse Vans that I made myself. If I could put it on a pair of shoes and not my body permanently, do I still want it on my body permanently? The answer is no on a lot of them. If I could have had a snowman warming his hands over burning money on a pair of Vans rather than my hip, I probably would have done it.
Or silk screen it on a t-shirt.
Right. Or with the tattoo I wanted, because I really want to get a tattoo on the inner part of my arm. I just don't know what to get. And so I was going to get that hipster chick throwing up hearts. And I'm like, yeah, that'll be cool. And then that's when it dawned on me. I was like, wait, if I could just get that onto a pair of shoes, do I need it on my... No, I don't. I absolutely do not. Now, would I regretted that tattoo? No, not necessarily, but do I need it on my body for an eternity?
Yes.
And that's where we differ.
I don't know anything about having pop culture references tattooed on my body. I would never stoop so low.
Listen, I need more tattoos. I just want to get ones that, have some sort of meaning. Okay, so grandma's handwriting, and we all have, except for you because you got it removed, the order in which we were born tattooed on our wrists.
I didn't get it removed. It's still there. It's just
It's
underneath.
underneath. Okay. Well, so like mine's 6, yours was 1.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany and Laurie started it by getting it on a snow day. And they're like, well, shit, let's go get tattoos. And they were like, well, if they have them, we need them too. Like, I'm okay with those tattoos. They're fine. Grandma's handwriting. I'm fine.
You know who doesn't get tattooed?
Who?
Good Mormons.
Oh, yeah. We are not. Is that a good roundup segment for our first episode?
I think that's good. Yeah, there's so many stories I want to tell.
I feel like we need to categorize them better. Like, we're kind of just randomly thinking of shit and talking about it, but maybe we could be like, this will be the episode about this.
Yeah, I actually do have that. I actually made a spreadsheet because I was trying to figure out when Mom took us to live with the polygamists, when she took us to the polygamist cult. And I was like, what year was that? And I was like, well, I think I was in this grade. I know I was in this grade, but how old are you? And Charlotte was born in this year. So I basically had to make a spreadsheet that detailed every year of my existence and like what ages I was and what grade I was in so that I could pinpoint that Mom took us to live with a polygamist cult in the summer of 1984, which will be another story for another episode. But yeah, I have a long list. Obviously I can't see it because we're sitting in the dark
In the
just
night.
by flameless candlelight.
But the electricity's back on, so...
Is it back on? Alexa. Oh yeah, it is back on.
Yeah.
I thought it went out again.
No, this is weird. Second time. All right.
Well, I
Well,
guess
that's it.
I
So,
guess
hey,
we're done.
Thanks for joining us.
Mom and my 2 friends from high school.
And our very angry cousins.
Hopefully they won't be angry after. Well,
Right.
hopefully they won't hear it. Actually, so I posted a thing on Instagram, and I was like, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this thing. It's a podcast, and
It's gonna be funny.
yeah, it's a comedy thing because we're just naturally hilarious."
Clearly.
And some of my cousins were like, "Stop bashing our religion," and this hurts my heart, and blah, on and on and on. And I'm just like, "Oh my god, it's not about you at all, and it's really not about bashing Mormons. It's just."
I mean, it just happens to be our experiences with Mormons, which are questionable at best.
Yeah. Anyways, so hopefully we cleared that up in the beginning of this episode, but just to reiterate it now, if you're Mormon, that's great. God bless you, and, good luck with that. That just doesn't happen to be what we're doing, and I think our podcast is going to be better than yours because of that.
All right. Well, I'm Charlotte,
I'm Mandy.
and thank you for joining us for our family home evening with Bad Mormons.
Very bad Mormons.